These are the 20 best selling PS5 games on the planet. And here's the crazy part. Number 1 was once banned from the PlayStation Store. Billions of dollars, millions of copies. Some earned every penny, some sold you the same game twice. No hype, no lies, just the real numbers and my honest opinion. Let's count them down. Kicking off the countdown at number 20, Mortal Kombat 1. And no, that's not a typo. After more than 30 years of games, NetherRealm looked at everyone in September 2023 and said, "We're calling this one 1. Because rebooting the story every few years is basically a Mortal Kombat tradition at this point. So here's the deal. Liu Kang is a fire god now. He built a brand new timeline where everyone gets a fresh start. Same faces, new lives, and the fighting, honestly fantastic. It's fast, it's crunchy, and the new cameo system lets a backup character jump into your fight to help out. The story mode is a big silly action movie, and I mean that as a compliment. So why am I rolling my eyes? Because Warner Brothers saw how much people loved it and thought, how do we squeeze them? They sold one Halloween finishing move for $10 real. 10. That's a whole pizza. The Nintendo Switch version looked like it was running on a potato. And the in-game shop prices are more brutal than the fatalities. Did players care? Nope. Nearly 3 million copies sold in the first few weeks, and it finished as 2023's best-selling fighting game. A great game, wrapped in some greedy decisions, which honestly is very Mortal Kombat. Number 19, Horizon Forbidden West, Robot Dinosaurs. I repeat, Robot Dinosaurs. If that sentence doesn't excite you, please check your pulse. Aloy is back, heading west to stop a strange sickness that's killing the land. The machines are bigger, meaner, and way cooler. You can glide off mountains, dive underwater, and rip the face off a giant robot snake with a spear. And the graphics? This was the game people used to show off their new PS5 to jealous friends. It's ridiculous how pretty it is. But here's my problem. Aloy will not stop talking. You walk up to a puzzle, and before your brain even wakes up, she goes, "Maybe I should move that crate. Thanks Aloy, I wanted to feel smart today." And the map is stuffed with icons. Climb this, collect that, clear this camp. It's homework with pretty sunsets. Then there's the timing. Ouch. It launched on February 18th, 2022, and Elden Ring arrived exactly 1 week later and stole every single conversation on the internet. Poor Aloy never stood a chance. Still, Sony says it sold 8.4 million copies in its first 2 months, so nobody at Guerrilla Games is crying. Gorgeous, huge, a little too chatty, and forever known as the amazing game that picked the worst possible week to exist. Number 18, Diablo IV. The game where you battle the armies of hell, and somehow the scariest thing in it is the shop. The loop is simple. Click monsters, monsters explode, shiny loot rains down, wear the loot, click bigger monsters. That's the whole game, and it is weirdly dangerously fun. It's the kind of game where you whisper one more quest at 9 PM and suddenly birds are chirping outside your window. Lilith, the demon lady from the trailers, is a genuinely great villain, and the whole world is dark, gloomy, and dripping with creepy mood. Now for the part that makes my eye twitch. This is a full price $70 game with a cash shop where one fancy outfit costs around $25. And 25 for pretend clothes on a pretend wizard. Blizzard looked at actual demons and thought, you know what this needs? A mall. Oh, and you need the internet even to play alone. And every few months a new season politely asks you to start a fresh character all over again. Did any of that hurt sales? Not even slightly. Diablo 4 made $666 million in its first 5 days. Yes, really, 666, making it the fastest selling Blizzard game ever. Turns out the devil's greatest trick was the Battle Pass. Number 17, Monster Hunter Wilds, the game where you hunt a giant monster, carve it up, wear it as a hat, and then use that hat to hunt an even bigger monster. The Circle of Life with more explosions. Capcom's big 2025 release drops you into the Forbidden Lands with your bird lizard buddy, the secret, and some truly jaw-dropping beasts. Fighting Arkveld, that ghostly white dragon from the cover, the one dragging chains around, feels like a proper boss battle every single time. And the weapons are wonderfully silly. There's a sword bigger than your entire body. There's a bug stick that lets you fly. Perfect. No notes. Okay, some notes. Longtime hunters basically yawned through the story, Because this is the easiest Monster Hunter in years. The game holds your hand like you might wander into traffic, and at launch it ran rough, blurry, muddy graphics in performance mode on PS5, while PC players got so angry they set Capcom's review page on fire. Did that slow it down? Huh. 8 million copies in 3 days. 3 days, the fastest launch in Capcom's entire history, and it blew past 10 million just weeks later. So yes, it's easier, and yes, it launched a little undercooked, but smacking a dragon the size of a building never ever gets old. Number 16. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. 2 Spider-Man for the price of 1, which is good because that price was $70. Insomniac hands you Peter Parker and Miles Morales, swapping between them across a bigger New York with new web wings that let you glide over the city like a caffeinated flying squirrel. Then Peter gets the black alien suit, turns moody and mean, and eventually we get Venom, a giant slobbering monster who is easily the best thing in the whole story. The action is so smooth it should honestly be illegal. So what's the catch? It's over fast. The main story wraps up in around 15 hours. Venom, the guy on the box, is playable for about 10 minutes. New Game Plus wasn't even there at launch, it showed up months later in a patch. And the story DLC everyone expected never came. Insomnia quietly moved on and Peter is still waiting by the phone. None of that touched the sales, obviously. 2.5 million copies in 24 hours. The fastest selling PlayStation Studios game ever. And over 11 million just a few months after that. It's an incredible ride that ends right when you're having the most fun. Like a roller coaster that only goes around once. Great game. Short game. Expensive game. Pick your feelings. Number 15. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Capcom took one of the greatest games ever made from 2005, polished it until it sparkled and sold it to us all over again. And the annoying part? It's brilliant. You're Leon, a secret agent with amazing hair, sent to a creepy village to rescue the president's daughter. The villagers are not friendly. One of them chases you around with a chainsaw while the whole town screams at you. It's tense, it's scary, and the new knife move lets you block attacks at the very last second, which feels incredible every single time. Even Ashley, the girl you're rescuing, who spent the original game yelling "Help Leon" every 5 seconds, is actually likable now. That alone deserves an award. So where's my complaint? Simple. It's a remake. Capcom has turned old Resident Evil games into a factory line, and we keep happily buying the same product twice. Oh, and they sell paid tickets that fully upgrade your weapons with real money in a single player game. Why? Capcom? Why? Doesn't matter. 3 million copies in the first 2 days and over 10 million total. The fastest any Resident Evil game has ever reached that number. Turns out when you remake something this carefully, nobody stays mad for long. Not even me. And I'm always mad. Number 14. God of War Ragnarok. The world's grumpiest dad is back. And this time the actual end of the world is coming with him. Kratos and his son Atreus are being hunted by Thor. Not the friendly movie Thor. A big scary Viking Thor. And by Odin, who might be the creepiest villain Sony has ever made. The fighting is fantastic. The axe is still the best weapon in video games. You throw it, it flies back into your hand, and it never ever gets old. And the story about a father learning to let his kid grow up. Genuinely beautiful. I teared up. Tell no one. Now the grumpy part. Remember how Aloy wouldn't stop spoiling puzzles? Kratos' friends caught the same disease. You stare at a puzzle for 4 seconds and someone shouts, "Try freezing the water wheel." Let me think. Also for a game called Ragnarok, the actual Ragnarok is over surprisingly fast. And let's be honest, it plays it safe. It's basically the 2018 game again, just bigger. Didn't matter one bit. 5.1 million copies in its first week, the biggest launch of any PlayStation game in history at that point, and 11 million before 2022 even ended. A giant, gorgeous, slightly over-talkative adventure. So, exactly like my family dinners. Number 13. Assassin's Creed Valhalla. A Viking game so enormous that some people who started it in 2020 are honestly still playing it today. You're Eivor, a Viking warrior sailing to England to raid fortresses, build a settlement, and occasionally remember this series used to be about, assassins. The raids are great fun. You blow a horn, your crew storms the walls, axes everywhere. And it was right there on day one when the PS5 launched, back when it was the shiniest thing you could put on your brand new console. But listen, this game does not respect your time. The main story alone takes around 60 hours. 60, doing everything takes well over 100. The map has more icons than the night sky has stars, and half of them are chores. And here's my favorite insult. Ubisoft sold an XP booster for real money. Translation? Pay full price for the game, then pay again to play less of it? Incredible. Players shrugged and bought it anyway. Valhalla had the biggest launch in Assassin's Creed history and became the first game in the series to make over $1 billion. So the Vikings raided England and Ubisoft raided our wallets. Everybody wins except us and England. Number 12. EA Sports FC 25. It's football. It's the same football as last year. It will be the same football next year. And somehow, we cannot stop buying it. To be fair, FC 25 actually tried. The new Rush mode gives you quick 5 versus 5 matches with friends, which is honestly a blast. The tactics system got smarter. Women's football is properly mixed in, and when your striker smashes one into the top corner in the last minute, no game on this list feels better for exactly 4 seconds. But now, story time? Kids, inside this game lives Ultimate Team, where you spend real money on packs of random player cards, hoping to pull Mbappe, and usually pulling a defender nobody has ever heard of. It's a casino with grass. EA once called these packs, with a straight face, surprise mechanics? Surprise, it's another goalkeeper. And here's the funny part. Even EA admitted this one slowed down. They literally warned investors that fewer people were opening their wallets, and it still finished as the best-selling game of the entire year in Europe. That's the power of football. Same game, new number, billions from card packs. See you next September. We both know you'll be there. Number 11. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Every single year a new Call of Duty appears, like homework or taxes. But fine, I'll admit it, this one was actually good. It's a spy story set in the early 90s, packed with double crosses, secret bunkers, and one glorious mission inside a fancy casino. The big new trick is called Omni Movement. You can sprint, slide, and dive in any direction, like an action hero who just discovered coffee. Multiplayer feels amazing, and round-based zombies is back, which made a certain type of player cry actual happy tears. So what's my problem? It's still a $70 game with a shop stuffed full of goofy skins. So your super serious military mission ends with you getting beaten by a ninja turtle, which for a game set in the 90s is weirdly accurate. Actually, fine. Bad example. But Microsoft also paid $69 billion for Call of Duty's parent company. So trust me, that shop is never ever going away. The result? The biggest launch in Call of Duty history and the best-selling game of 2024 in America. Every year we complain, every year it breaks records. Call of Duty isn't really a game series anymore, it's a season. Like winter, it's coming, whether you like it or not. Number 10. Helldivers 2, the game where you spread freedom across the galaxy using giant orbital lasers, mostly onto your own teammates. Here's the setup. You're a soldier for Super Earth, blasting giant bugs and angry robots with 3 friends. Friendly fire is always on, always. So the real enemy was never the bugs. It's Dave, who called an airstrike on the exact spot where you are standing. Every mission turns into a beautiful disaster, and I have never laughed harder in a shooter. Now the messy parts, because there were plenty. At launch, the servers completely melted. Millions of players lined up to fight for freedom, and freedom said, please hold. Then Sony tried forcing PC players to make PlayStation accounts. The internet exploded and Sony surrendered in about a weekend. Nothing says liberty like your own publisher almost sinking your biggest hit of the year. But here's the thing, this game costs $40. 40, not 70. A full, ridiculous, endlessly funny shooter for almost half the usual price. And players noticed. 12 million copies in just 12 weeks, stealing the crown from Spider-Man 2 as the fastest selling PlayStation game ever. Democracy works, people. It just occasionally drops a 500 kilogram bomb directly on your best friend. Number 9, It Takes Two, a game about a married couple who argue so much they get magically turned into tiny dolls and forced to work together. It's therapy with explosions. Step 1 though, you need a friend. This game is co-op only. There is no playing alone. And here's the crazy part. Only one of you has to buy it. Your partner joins completely free with the Friends Pass. In this economy, the director also swore his studio would never sell microtransactions, and he actually kept his word. I didn't even know developers were allowed to do that. The game itself is basically 50 little games wearing a trench coat. One minute you're riding frogs, then you're trapped in a snow globe, then suddenly you're in a full-on wizard battle. It never repeats an idea. Ever. My complaints, a talking love book named Dr. Hakim who will not stop yelling about teamwork, and one scene with a toy elephant that my lawyer says we cannot discuss. It won Game of the Year in 2021, beating games 10 times its size. And it's now closing in on 27 million copies sold, with over 50 million people playing it, for a game you legally cannot play alone. Turns out couples counseling works best with explosion. Number 8. Baldur's Gate 3, the game that made every big publisher on earth sweat nervously by simply not being greedy. It's a giant fantasy adventure based on Dungeons and Dragons. You build a hero, gather a team of weirdos, including Astarion, a dramatic vampire half the internet fell in love with, and the game lets you solve every problem your way. Talk your way out, sneak past, or shove the villain off a cliff mid-sentence. The game just shrugs and keeps going. Your story and my story might as well be two different games. Now the shocking part, no microtransactions, no season pass, no launch day shop. Larian just sold a finished game. Some developers actually complained it was setting expectations too high. Imagine being angry at someone for doing their job properly. My gripes, turn-based combat isn't for everyone. It's basically chess with goblins. It's over 100 hours long, so cancel your plans. And when it finally hit PS5 in September 2023, a month after PC, the giant final city made the poor console wheeze like an old man on the stairs. Still, it swept basically every Game of the Year award that existed in 2023 and has now sold over 20 million copies. Prove that if you respect players, they will bury you in money. Number 7. EA Sports FC 24, or as I like to call it, FIFA in a fake mustache. Storytime. For 30 years, EA paid FIFA for exactly one thing, the name. Then FIFA reportedly demanded over $1 billion to keep those 4 letters, and EA finally went, hold on, we own the players, we own the leagues, we own the stadiums, what are we actually paying for? So they walked away, slapped FC24 on the box, and kept everything else. FIFA got custody of the name, EA got custody of the money. And what changed for players? Almost nothing. Same gorgeous football, now with Erling Haaland grinning on the cover, women footballers in Ultimate Team for the very first time, and yes, the card pack casino we already discussed back at number 12. It was here first, kids. Stay strong, guard your pocket money. So did losing the famous FIFA name hurt? Not even slightly. Over 11 million players in the first week alone, and it finished as Europe's best-selling game of all of 2023. Turns out nobody was ever buying it for the name. They were buying it because it's football, and buying it is basically the law. Same time next September, you know it, it's tradition. Number 6, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and yes, there was already a Modern Warfare 2 back in 2009. First Mortal Kombat forgot how to count, now this. Game companies, numbers are your friends. Anyway, Captain Price and Task Force 1 for 1 are back, hunting bad guys across the globe, and the game looks absolutely unreal. There's a level in Amsterdam where the water looks so lifelike, people stopped mid-mission just to stare at a canal. The shooting is Call of Duty at its crispiest. There's a brilliant, sneaky sniper mission, and Ghost says cool things in a deep voice, which is honestly half the reason people showed up. Complaints? Oh, I've got them. This was the first Call of Duty to cost $70, and it still sells $20 skin bundles on top, like a restaurant charging extra for the fork. The menus were a confusing mess, and the campaign, while fun, played it very safe. Players did not care one bit. $800 million in 3 days, 1 billion in 10. The fastest any Call of Duty has ever reached it. Then it finished as America's best-selling game of 2022. despite launching at the end of October. 2 months on sale. Beat everything. That's not success. That's a cheat code. Number 5. Black Myth Wukong, China's first giant blockbuster game about the legendary Monkey King, and it hit the whole world like a golden staff to the face. You play a monkey warrior with a magic staff that can grow to the size of a skyscraper. You can turn into insects, summon clones of yourself, and fight some of the most jaw-dropping bosses ever put in a video game. And there are over 80 of them. It's based on Journey to the West, a centuries-old legend, and in China, it became a full national event. People genuinely took days off work to play it. For a video game, respect. Now, the eye-rolling, this game is basically a boss parade connected by pretty hallways. Hallways full of invisible walls. You see a path, you walk toward the path, the game quietly says no. Also, there is no map. None. I got lost in chapter 3 and honestly, part of me is still there. None of it mattered. 10 million copies in 3 days, 20 million in about a month. Numbers that made every big Western publisher spit out their coffee. A studio most people had never heard of took an ancient legend and conquered the planet. The Monkey King didn't knock on the door, he smashed straight through it. Number 4. Palworld, you know it as Pokemon with guns. And no, I won't be explaining it better than that because that is the whole pitch. You land on an island full of adorable creatures called pals. You catch them using round sphere devices that are legally, not Pokeballs. But instead of friendship and gym badges, you put them to work. Your cute little pals build your base, cook your dinner, run your factory, and some of them carry rocket launchers. It's ridiculous, it's rough around the edges, and with friends, it is stupidly fun. The internet lost its mind. Over 2 million people playing at once on Steam, one of the biggest crowds in its history. 15 million copies in the first month on Steam alone, 25 million players counting Xbox, all from a tiny studio nobody knew, selling a game that wasn't even finished. And then Nintendo's lawyers noticed. They sued over patents, including basically how you throw the ball. And Palworld quietly changed a few features. So by the time PS5 players finally got it in September 2024, the drama was already legendary. Is it shameless? Completely? Is it fun? Also completely? Sometimes gaming rewards 10 years of careful craft, and sometimes it rewards a mischievous monkey. Wait, no, that was number 5. Sometimes it just rewards chaos. Number 3, Elden Ring. Remember back at number 19 when Poor Horizon launched 1 week before the internet completely forgot it existed? Ladies and gentlemen, meet the culprit. From Software built a gigantic open world, brought in George R.R. Martin, the Game of Thrones author, to help create the backstory, then filled every corner with monsters designed to end your happiness. This game does not hold your hand. No arrows saying go here. No friendly voice spoiling puzzles. Take notes, Aloy. You see a spooky castle, you walk to the spooky castle, and something enormous flattens you. And that freedom is exactly why people fell in love. Every victory feels earned. Beating a boss on your 30th try doesn't feel like gaming. It feels like a personal achievement that belongs on a t-shirt. My complaints? It explains nothing. The story hides inside item descriptions like a treasure hunt for librarians, and some bosses are simply rude, looking directly at you. Malenia, the results were absurd. 12 million copies in less than 3 weeks. Over 30 million today. Game of the Year 2022. A brutally hard, stubbornly confusing masterpiece that became one of the best-selling games on earth. Turns out gamers never wanted easier games. They wanted better ones. Number 2. Hogwarts Legacy. The game that asked one simple question. What if we let people actually go to Hogwarts? And then just watched the money arrive in trucks. You're a brand new student with your own wand, your own house, your own broomstick. You learn spells in real classes, sneak through the castle after dark, tame magical beasts, and build your own secret room. The castle is the true star here. Every staircase moves, every painting matters, and every fan's childhood dream gets fulfilled in the first 20 minutes. But my cynical little heart has notes. Once the castle magic wears off, the quests get samey. Fetch this, clear that camp, and there are 95 Merlin puzzle shrines scattered across the map. Merlin buddy, get a hobby. The story is also so forgettable that I finished the whole thing and could not tell you the villain's name if you paid me. Now the wild part, no multiplayer, no microtransactions, no battle pass, just a single player game that sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks, earned $850 million, finished as the best selling game of all of 2023, beating Call of Duty, and has passed 30 million total. Turns out childhood dreams are the strongest currency on earth. Wizards knew it all along. And finally, number 1, Cyberpunk 2077. The best selling game of the entire PS5 era is the same game that launched so broken, Sony removed it from the PlayStation Store. Let that sink in. Number 1 was once banned from the store. December 2020, after 8 years of hype and 8 million pre-orders, Cyberpunk arrived, and on older consoles, it barely worked. Cars fell through roads, characters walked around without faces. It was such a disaster that refunds were offered, and the game vanished from PlayStation Store for 6 whole months, and it still sold 13 million copies in 10 days. Humanity, we need to talk. But then came gaming's greatest comeback. Years of fixes. A proper PS5 version in 2022. The Edge Runners anime that made everyone cry and reinstall. The massive 2.0 update that rebuilt everything. And Phantom Liberty starring Idris Elba, which was genuinely spectacular. Today, cruising Night City with Keanu Reeves living in your head is one of gaming's best experiences. For real this time. The final count? Over 40 million copies? Announced just this month. The biggest seller of this whole generation. So what's the lesson? Kids, simple, never pre-order. Wait, let someone else test it. Then buy the finished masterpiece later, cheaper. 20 games, hundreds of millions of copies. And number 1 apologized its way to the top, and that's the list. 20 games, hundreds of millions of copies, and the number 1 seller of this whole era launched broken. So here's my expert advice after all these years. Never pre-order, ever. Let them finish the game first. Your wallet can wait. Now tell me in the comments which of these games hurt your wallet the most. And if you enjoyed the honesty, subscribe. No hype, no lies, just games. See you in the next one.